Hey, welcome back. We're live tonight in New Hampshire. 5 days from now, people here are going to vote in the first 2016 presidential primary in the nation. And the candidates are not taking the state for granted at all. With 23 Republican delegates at stake, and after his loss to Ted Cruz in Iowa, even Donald Trump is changing his ground game a little. He's still doing the big rallies and arena stump speeches, but he's also adding to his campaign schedule, getting up close and personal with voters. Today at Theo's restaurant here in Manchester, I sat down with Trump, who also took questions from people, some of them supporters, some of them undecided, all of them eager to hear specifics of what he plans to do if he's elected president. We began talking about his support here in New Hampshire. First of all, congratulations. You've had a great couple of days since Iowa. How does it feel out there? There's a new CNN poll out, shows you're doing well here in New Hampshire. How does it feel?
It feels great. The people are amazing. I've been to New Hampshire so many times and have so many friends up here, aside from this. And they're amazing people. It's a great place. I just like it. I feel comfortable. You're doing more in New Hampshire. You're doing more smaller events. You're doing more events. I think you've had 4 or 5 already today. Yeah. Events like this with kind of people up close asking you questions. Is that a change in strategy? And if so, why? I don't think so. I just feel very comfortable up here, and I love being here. And you know, I've just been embraced. I have friends that have nice houses, and they invite me over to dinner, and they would anyway, whether I was doing this or not. But there's a great level of comfort in New Hampshire for me. In this poll, Marco Rubio has also now jumped to second place. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's more of a threat than Ted Cruz? I don't know. I mean, it could be somebody out of the pack. You know, I'm watching your stuff every night, and I'm saying, wow, who's going to be moving? I've been doing well. I guess in the polls we do pretty well, but I don't know who's second. I really don't. Are you saying that Rubio came in second now? Or he's
yes, he did. He came in second in this.
It was sort of funny because in Iowa, he was third and I was second, and they said he did fantastically well, and me, they were sort of disappointed. I don't even know why they were disappointed, because I got actually the most votes in the history of the Iowa caucus, you know, for the Republicans caucus. And we had a huge turnout. It was really a tremendous, I mean, I must say I really enjoyed Iowa. But there's a different feeling here. This is an amazing feeling with the people, with the crowds. You probably saw the crowd I had this morning. It was just incredible.
How important is it for you to win here?
Well, I'd love to win because I like to win. I mean, my life is about winning. You know, I don't like to
I've heard that about you.
But, you know, it's your definition of win when you come in second out of 11 people, and actually 17, because we started off with 17. Many dropped out. So let's say you're second out of 17. You know, I mean, I would consider that good. But I would love to be number 1 in New Hampshire. I think it would send a great signal. And, you know, my whole thing is make America great again, Anderson. That's what I want to do. I want to make America great. And there's so many things we can do to take back our country, because we're losing our country. I mean, we're doing deals that are so ridiculous. The deal with Iran, where we're handing over $150 billion, and we get nothing. It's not like we get nothing. So many horrible things are taking place. If you look at trade with China, we're going to make for them this year $500 billion. We can't do it. We can't afford this. Mexico, Japan, Vietnam, that's another one coming on very strong. They're coming on so strong. Vietnam, you don't believe what's going on over there. And they're taking our jobs, they're taking our money, they're taking our base, they're taking everything from us. And it's not going to happen if I get elected president. It's not going to happen.
You came in second in Iowa to Ted Cruz. Let's talk about Cruz. You've basically accused him of fraud, of stealing the election in Iowa. You talked about wanting a new election there. Have you actually spoken to Republican Party officials about that?
No, look, I'm into New Hampshire now. It's just one of those things. It was sort of a lot of strange things. And, you know, I like Ben Carson very much. And he got pretty roughed up, frankly, although it affected me maybe more than Ben. But I'm so much, because I've been now here for 2 days, I'm so much into New Hampshire, that I don't care about that anymore.
But do you think Ted Cruz intentionally was spreading
I don't care. I mean, I don't want to even say, let's see what happens. I guess people are looking at it. Who cares? We're into here. I picked up a lot of delegates. You know, I was second. I picked up 1 less than he did, so that's not going to be even a factor. But this is the place that I'm focused.
Are you going to be focusing on Rubio in speeches?
I may, but I don't think so much. I think the people have to make up their mind. Look, I'm going to do things that nobody else can do because I'm really good at trade. I built an unbelievable company. You saw that. Everybody went down. They looked. They never saw my numbers before. My company that I built, very little debt, tremendous cash flow, some of the greatest assets in the world. And I say that not in a braggadocious way. I say that's the kind of thinking we need in this country. We have $19 trillion in debt. Nobody even knows what trillion means. We have $19 trillion in debt. Now with this horrible deal they just negotiated with, with the budget 2 weeks ago, that's going to add another $2 trillion in debt. We need somebody that has the kind of thinking that I have. Whether we like that thinking or don't like that thinking, it's really good for what we're talking about.
One more on Ted Cruz. He did say that you basically had a Trumper tantrum. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
No, I haven't, actually. I love that phrase. I think that phrase... I love that phrase.
You could trademark that phrase.
I actually like that phrase. I may have to die. That's good. I'm going to trademark it before he does. Look, we need a strong tone nowadays. When you talk about tantrum, I don't have tantrums. You can't build great businesses and have the relationships that I have if you have tantrums. But I will say this. We need somebody with a strong tone. I remember when, on the same day, Hillary and Jeb Bush, here's Jeb, spent like $100 million and he's nowhere. And he likes Common Core and he's weak on immigration. And where is he coming from? And Hillary, the same day, they said Donald Trump's tone, my tone, is tough. And I said, they're chopping off heads of Christians in the Middle East, all over the Middle East, ISIS. They're doing all sorts of things that haven't happened. It doesn't seem to me like since medieval times. I mean, I used to read medieval times they chopped off heads. I haven't seen that. And then, you look at what's happening in this world, how mean, how vicious it's become. And I have these people saying, well, Donald Trump's tone is tough. I mean, the problem we have is everybody's so politically correct that our country's going to hell. So we're going to turn it around, and hopefully we're going to do a great job. And by the way, I know we're going to do a great job. It's so easy. We're going to have the greatest business people. Carl Icahn endorsed me the other day, all of the great business leaders. We're going to lose a lot of companies. Pfizer's leaving and others are leaving now, corporate inversions. They can't get their money back into the country because of stupidity. Everybody agrees they should get it back. Democrats and Republicans, they can't take it back. They're leaving the country. We're losing some of our greatest companies. They're leaving. Pfizer is going to Ireland, but they're going to Europe. They're going to Asia. I will stop that in 2 seconds.
I want to have you meet some of the voters. Some of them are supporters of you. Some of them are undecided at this point. I want you to meet Brian Tilton. He's standing over there. He says he's leaning towards. He's leaning toward you.
Brian, you have to have dinner with me.
He's considering some other candidates. Brian, what's your question?
Hi. Since Obamacare passed, I've lost my health insurance 3 times.
Many people have.
My out-of-pocket expenses are sky high. I'm maxed out this year because I had surgery a couple months ago, and I don't have my doctor anymore because of Obamacare. Right. I've heard you say you want to repeal and replace Obamacare. Right. What are you going to replace it with?
Okay. First of all, I have been so against Obamacare from the beginning, as you know. Repeal and replace. I was totally opposed to it. They did the $5 billion website, $5 billion website that didn't work. I have websites all over the place. They cost me 15 cents if you have the right person doing them, right? We're going to have great health insurance. We're going to bring the private sector in. We're going to get rid of the borders. I'm the only self-funder in this whole race, on Democrat or Republican. The only self-funder, Anderson. I'm putting up my own money. When I come up here, it's costing me. It's not costing the public. It's not costing, worse than the public. It's the insurance companies are putting up money for all of these people. The oil companies are putting up money. The drug companies are putting up money. And I'll tell you one quick story about that in a second. But we're going to take down the borders, because I have a lot of
specifically for healthcare.
Yeah, for healthcare. Because what happens is the healthcare companies, the insurance companies, are put up tremendous money for Obama and other people that are running for office. They have total control. When I bid out my insurance, I have big businesses in many different states, in Florida, in New York, all over the place, in California. When I bid out my stuff, I don't get any bids. Because if I want to have somebody from, let's say, New Hampshire bid, a good insurance company bid for my New York business, they can't do it. They just can't do it, because we have these artificial, I call them borders. Our border should be so strong. Our southern border should be as strong as our borders. What that does is it gives monopolies to these insurance companies inside of various states. When you take that down, you will have so much competition. You'll have phenomenal health care. And the reason they have the borders, because an insurance company would rather have essentially a monopoly in one state than have bidders all over the place, even if they could go into...
Will somebody like Brian actually save money on health?
Oh, he'd save a lot of money, and he'd be able to tailor it, and you'd get exactly what you want. I mean, there are things in healthcare that you're never going to use, and they make you buy them. So Obamacare is a disaster. You know, premiums have gone up on Obamacare 25, 35, and 45%, some even over 50%. And just like you, people have been forced, they've lost everything because of health care. Obamacare is a disaster, and we're going to repeal it, and we're going to replace it with something great. And we have lots of alternatives. The problem that this country's had, until me, is that the presidents and all of the people that are doing this are all taken care of by the insurance companies. Me, I don't care. I'm a free agent. They didn't give me 10 cents, and they would. By the way, they would. I will say this. I am self-funding. I don't know that it's appreciated.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because you've said in the past, in the last couple of days, you don't think you're getting credit for that.
Only the last couple of days. I put up a tremendous amount of money. I'm spending a lot of money on the campaign, and I said, I don't think it's appreciated. People have to understand, the reason Obamacare is so bad is because the insurance companies have taken care of the politicians. These politicians are the worst. All talk, no action. I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up my money, other than
you said you would keep doing that, but it's not worth it. What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is I don't think the voters give me any credit for it. Now, I may be wrong, but I don't think when people, even in this room, and we have great people in this room, when they go to vote, I don't think they're saying, you know, Trump is the only one out of, now, it started off 21 if you add both together, right? Out of 21 people, I'm the only one that's putting up my own money. And it's, it's a lot of money. Now, I'm an efficient person, so I've spent a tiny fraction of what a guy like Bush spent.
Getting a lot of free media coverage.
And I get a lot of free. I was supposed to be up to $45 million as of today or tomorrow. That was my budget. I've spent a small fraction of that. Now, that's also good management. That's what we need in the country. So I'm number one in the polls. Bush is almost down at the bottom. He spent over $100 million, and I've spent peanuts. Now, with that being said, I'm going to spend a lot of money. You know why? Number one, I don't want to take a chance. So we're taking commercials, and good commercials. And number two, I feel guilty not spending a little money. I actually feel a little bit guilty about it. You want to know the truth. But isn't it nice? And wouldn't it be nice if, so I spent just about the least money, and I'm number one in the polls. Whereas other people have spent tremendous amounts of money and they're nowhere. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do that for our country?
Up next, well, more of my conversation with Donald Trump and a group of New Hampshire voters. He says he's all about winning and great deals. He talks about those things a lot. So I asked Trump whether he thinks compromise is actually a dirty word. His answer when we continue. Now, more of my interview with Donald Trump up close and personal. Today, he took questions from voters at Theo's restaurant here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Even made a quip about having dinner with one voter who was leaning toward voting for him, but not 100% sure. It became a running joke. It was a casual atmosphere in the restaurant. But some of the voters' questions tackled the big issues. Whether Trump answered those questions, you can decide for yourself. Take a look. You talked about taking Brian to dinner. Maybe you'll take him to dinner at Timothy's restaurant. This is Timothy Baines. He's a restaurant owner. He says he's still undecided, so you could convince him as well. Timothy?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Trump.
Hi,
hi there. I own a small restaurant here in Manchester and interact with young people on a daily basis. Okay. It's clear they don't trust Washington.
I don't either, Timothy. Less than anybody, maybe.
Absolutely.
It's too much.
It's a polarized environment, and I feel like a lot of that's because of our most recent two presidents. What tools will you bring to the table to be able to work with people on both sides of the aisle?
It's a great question. In Manhattan, I built a tremendous company, and somebody was mentioning today, I built a job. I built really a city on the west side of Manhattan. You know it very well, Anderson, Trump Place, and it goes from 72nd Street to 59th Street. I had to get zoning. Now, this might sound simple. This was, Anderson would understand, people that are in Manhattan, you would...
Not an easy thing to do.
I was told that it was impossible. In fact, I bought the land very inexpensively because people said it was impossible to ever get it done. I got it zoned for a almost 6,000 unit job with tremendous shopping, with tremendous parking, thousands and thousands of spaces. I got it zoned for one of the great jobs, and it's been a tremendous success. They did a great job. To get that zoned and to get that taken care of, you can negotiate anything. One other thing I say, I just got the old post office recently on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm building a hotel. Every major company in the country wanted that, hotel company, and I got that. Who did I get it from? The Obama administration, if you think about it, right? I had a great plan. I have a great balance sheet. I got it from Obama. We can solve problems if we have people that are
Politically, though, you're polarizing, but you're saying once you get to Washington, you can actually get deals done.
With people. Look, Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill were very opposite. They got along. They had a great relationship.
So is compromise
they really liked
a dirty
each
word?
other.
For some politicians,
compromise is not a dirty word, but we have to get a much better part of the compromise. It's not a dirty. I mean, we have people that will never be able to make deals. You know, somebody said, oh, he'll make deals. I'm going to make good deals. That's what I do. I made billions and billions of dollars by making good
There's some conservatives who worry you'll make deals too much, that you'll compromise too much on conservative principles.
I'm not a huge compromiser. I have to tell you, I make great deals. I make deals. I own some of the greatest assets in the world. People wanted them. Everybody.
Is it more important to get a deal or to stand on a principle?
You have to both. Honestly, you have to both. You got to get the deal done, but only if it's right. For instance, on the Iran deal, I would have never started negotiating that deal unless they let our prisoners go first. I would have gone in, I would have said, fellas, got to let our prisoners go. They would have said no, I would have walked, I would have doubled up the sanctions. Within 24 hours, they would have let the prisoners go. Then I would have gone in. Now I would have gone a second bite. I would have said, listen, we're a busted country. We have no money. We owe $19 trillion, because I want to take my father always said, take the lumps out. He used to say, son, take the lumps out. Okay?
What does that mean,
so
take the lumps
that means
out?
make it a little bit nicer.
Okay.
Because normally I go and say, we're not giving you the 150 billion. So instead I'd say, fellas, we owe 19 trillion. We're a country that has no money. We can't give you the 150. They'll say, but we want it. I say, we can't give it. We don't have it. We don't have it. That's called taking the lumps out, as opposed to, okay. They will go crazy. It'll break up. 2 days later, they'll call back, let's make a deal. We keep the $150 billion. And by the way, what have they done with he's starting to like me, but I'm liking this guy. I think I got him. I think I'll have them both. But you know what? What have we done with 150? What have they done? They bought 118 Airbus planes, not Boeing planes. They're spending all of their money in Europe. They're giving Russia big chunks of money for missiles. I didn't even know they were allowed to buy missiles. Why are they allowed to buy missiles? It's so unfair and it's so incompetent.
Well, that was just the beginning. Donald Trump fielded a lot more questions in that restaurant today, including one from a father who said he's not sure that Mr. Trump would be a good role model for his daughters if he's elected president. We'll see how Trump answered that. Back now with part 3 of my conversation with Donald Trump. I sat down with him in a room full of voters, some of them undecided, at a restaurant here in Manchester. Not a stretch to say that votes can be won or lost in a diner, far more intimate than a rally. The candidates are up close and personal, close enough to see every expression and hear every inflection. Some of the people who joined us at Theo's had some tough questions for Mr. Trump, including a man who said he's not sure that a President Trump would be a good role model for his daughters. I want you to meet Joe Manzoli. He's from Hudson. He says he got a few top contenders still undecided. Joe?
Hello,
Mr.
Joe.
Trump. Hi.
Are you liking me better, at least?
Sure. But only because I get to stand here.
That's good.
Thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
I have 3 wonderful daughters at home.
Good.
And I want nothing more for them than to look at their president as a role model. Throughout the course of this campaign, you've said some disparaging comments about women, about people from other countries, other religions, and about everybody who's disagreed with you. Explain to me how I can look at my daughters and have them look up to a President Trump as a role model.
Well, first of all, nobody. Who asked you to give this question? Did Anderson? No. This is a CNN. By the way, this is a CNN setup, but that's okay.
It's not.
Nobody has more respect for
Just
women.
for the record, we did
That's
not
okay,
tell anybody any questions.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. 30 years ago, I had a woman building a major construction job in New York City, and that never happens. That just didn't happen. I have so many women executives. In fact, your people actually came over and checked, and they couldn't believe it. I have so many women executives. I have been great to women, and women have been great to me. They've done a great job. I do bring up things that people don't want to bring up. I talk about immigration, stronger than anybody else. I talk about building a wall. If you look at New Hampshire, you have a tremendous heroin problem. It's coming from the border. People are driving trucks right over the border, loaded up with cocaine, loaded up with heroin, loaded up with all sorts of drugs, and they're taking the money back. So we get the drugs, and especially in New Hampshire. You know, it's amazing. This area, for some reason, has a tremendous drug problem. And one of the first questions I get in New Hampshire is the tremendous drug problem. I'm stopping that. And these politicians can't stop it. They don't know. Look, it's a different deal. They don't know. And by the time their lobbyists and all of these people that are giving them money get to them, they're not going to do, even if they do know what's right, they're not going to do it. I'm going to straighten out things. Now, when I brought up the Muslim problem, you know, it's very interesting. I brought that problem up, and all of a sudden the world started going wild, and now the world is agreeing with me. We have to do something. There is a serious problem. Now, we don't have to discuss it, and we can be politically correct, and let's pretend like our president, where he refuses to say radical Islamic terrorism.
Is it really
exists.
a Muslim problem, or is it a radical Islamist problem?
Maybe it's a Muslim problem, maybe it's not. I have many Muslim friends. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them called me and they said, Donald, you have done us a great service. There's tremendous hatred. And at least you're starting a dialogue. We have a president that doesn't want to mention the term.
I want to introduce Patricia Cooper. She's a Trump supporter. Patricia.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I did yesterday was to look up your platform.
Right.
I'm very excited about a lot of things that you say. I love your ideas. We need all these changes. But sometimes when I read them, it's a statement. But it's not really saying, how are you going to do? There's so many things to do. How are you going to do them? How are you going to get in? You know, you're in this, your position, and all of a sudden, I'm going to the economics. I got to worry about ISIS. I got to do this.
Oh, the president's going to have a lot of things. We have to be high energy. We cannot be a low energy individual and do this job right. We have to be very high energy. It's a great question. Look, I have a lot of policy papers out. But in the end, Anderson, you know, you have 14 steps. The press wants them more than the people. You have 14 steps. Let's say taxes, 14 steps. So step one, we're going to do this. Step two, we're going to negotiate
But
with all
that's the
these
knock on you,
politicians.
that you're not specific enough.
I am specific, but here's what happens. So you have 14 steps. Step one, we're going to go and see these people. Step two, okay. Now, what's going to happen is in step 2, 3, 4, 5, the people on the other side, in terms of Congress, et cetera, they're going to be negotiating with us, right? So now all of the 14 steps are just wasted. But we may make a better deal. In other words, they may take us to a place where the deal ends up being better. That's what I do. I like to be unpredictable. I hate it when I see these people from the administration going on television, including your shows, saying exactly what we're going to do in war to knock out ISIS or whoever we're competing against. We have to be unpredictable.
We're going to have more of the conversation with Donald Trump ahead. We switched gears and got personal. Mr. Trump opened up about the brother he lost to alcoholism and his wife Melania, and why he knew he'd met his match the first time he saw her. We're showing you how Donald Trump handled questions from voters at a diner here in New Hampshire today. They asked him about a lot of serious issues, health care to the economy to gridlock in Washington. Before we ended the interview, we switched gears and got more personal.
How do you relax? Because, you know, obviously you play golf. How do you decompress? Because you don't sleep much, I understand.
No, I don't, not too much. I'm relaxing now. You know, it's crazy. Isn't it a crazy thing? I feel that I'm a worker. I have to work hard. I love to work. If I were president, I would be in the White House a lot. I wouldn't be taking trips all over the place to you know, for whatever reason. Why would you leave the White House? You know, it's interesting. You're there for a limited period of time, okay? You're not going to be there forever. Why would you ever? I would be there so much, but I'd be working. I am a worker. I would be working. When I go on a vacation, I once went on a vacation where they had no phones. I was out of there, and one day I said, I got to go. Okay? We've got to work. We need a working president.
You and I have something in common. We both lost our older brothers.
Yes.
And you lost your older brother in 1981, I believe. I did in 1988. What impact did that have on your life?
It had a great impact. He was a great guy. He was the most handsome guy. He had the best personality. He was the life of the party.
An airline
His name was Fred. He was a pilot. He was a great pilot, actually. He was very talented. Other pilots used to come over to the house. They would always tell me he was the most talented. He had great talent. But he got hooked on alcohol. And I told his family, I said, you know, his legacy is great because what I'm doing, so many people, they talk about it, he got hooked on alcohol, just hooked. And ultimately, it just was devastating. That's why I don't drink. You know, I don't drink. I don't drink. I don't drink. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't take drugs. Those are the three good things. I won't tell you the bad things. Okay. But my brother Fred was a great guy. He had everything. I mean, the most handsome guy. And then he got hooked, and there was nothing. And by the way, nothing he could do about it. And I've seen strong people, really strong people that you and I know, but really strong, tough people, they can't shake the habit. The way to shake the habit is not to start. My brother used to say, and he knew he had a problem. He used to say to me, no drinking, no drugs, and no alcohol. Actually, he would leave the drugs out. What I do is I say to my kids, I've always said from the time, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no drugs. With my brother, it was a long time ago, the drugs weren't like the big thing, I don't think. I mean, the drugs weren't a big factor. But he always used to say, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Now, he said the cigarettes because, look, it's better if you don't smoke. I have friends that can't quit smoking. I would never want a cigarette. But once you start, I'd probably want a cigarette. I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today if I didn't have my brother Fred, because he kept me off alcohol. And maybe with my kind of a personality, I'd be a serious alcoholic. I just don't know. But I never had a glass of alcohol in my life, only because my brother said, don't you dare. He was a tough guy in his own way. Don't you dare ever drink, because he knew he had a problem. And he passed on to me unbelievable information.
Finally, we've seen your wife out on the campaign trail. You talked about strong people. She's a strong woman.
Very strong.
When was the moment you knew she was the one for you?
Well, you know, almost when I saw her, it was really amazing. She was a very, very successful model. And she's a very smart woman, as you know. And she also loves your show, but these are minor details. But she loves this show. She likes him. But a very smart, strong person. And I was at a party, and I was a single person at a party, and she was standing, and there were 3 or 4 supermodels, and they said, "Oh, look who's here, it's supermodel." And I say, "Forget about them. I like that one. Who's that?" And it was sort of a weird deal. But I tried to get her number. She wouldn't give it to me, which, of course, that's the smartest thing she ever did, right? And after that happened, I was going sort of wild, because that's the way life works, folks. I mean, you know, that's called smart. But no, she's been amazing, and she's as beautiful inside as she is outside. And if this ever happens, I know one thing: she'll be an unbelievable representative for our country and a great First Lady.
Mr. Trump,
thank you very much.